Hi everybody, Matt and Tom with you today. We're on round 3 of our search for the old pubs of Todmorden using the Todmorden Pub Guide from Barbara Eastwood. Today we're going to follow from where we left off on the last video here at the Hare and Hounds on Burnley Road and go all the way to Cornholme. Now, there's a good reason, and I'll come to it later, why there's not as many pubs in Cornholme as there were in other areas, but you'll find out why soon. So yeah, I'm glad Tom's with me today. He's going to help with the search. There's 2 or 3 that I have no idea where they would be, but yeah, let's get gone. So Hare and Hounds here is abandoned at the moment. I've got a fabulous picture which I found which showed something else that was here, the former Mom's Mill. Put that up and then let's get on our way. Okay, so our first pub today is at a familiar location. It's the abandoned Skatecliff Hall. Now we did a video here months ago, and I think everybody's doing a video here now. But next to Skatecliff Hall is this building, which is called the Coach House. Now, we're not going in it today, but again, we've been in here before. So if you want to look at the video, just search Coach House, you'll find it. I'll show you the building from the outside, and a bit of info as well. So the Coach House was actually, obviously, part of Skatecliff Hall, but was rebuilt around 1850. In the 1980s, it became the Coach House, which was a public bar and banqueting suite. To say it only opened in 1988 or 89, the deterioration of this place is horrific. And as I say, if you want to watch the video of me down in the bar, there's a few screenshots I'll put on, but yeah, it's been properly sealed off to anyone else going in, which is probably for the best. If you watch the video, you'll see the stairs disintegrate whilst I'm on them. The hall and the Coach House closed about 2010-11, and it's just been wrecked with dry rot since then, and it is a shame that it is in such bad condition. Right, there are a few pictures after each stop we go to, so you can see what things look like, if I have those pictures, like the other videos. Well, let's crack on to the next one. Our next pub was over to the right here. This was the Poultry Dealer's Arms. It's now a private house, so we won't dwell on it too long, but you can see the sign, original sign was there. This is the original sign of the Poultry Dealer's Arms. This photo was taken by my friend Nigel. He's very kindly let me use the photo. Check out his channel at Nigglepics. So the Poultry Dealer's Arms opened about 1850. Now there's a little story from 1870. The landlord at the time was John Stansfield, and he and his wife took in a man called James Crossley, also known as Jimmy Spouser. This is apparently a drawing of Jimmy, but he was apparently described as a homeless, half-witted, deformed and shrivelled creature, and susceptible to practical jokes from regulars who enjoyed seeing him sozzled. 3 years after he moved in, he fell ill, so Jimmy made some requests before passing away of things he wanted to do, which included going Christmas singing to raise some money to give back to the landlord for his kindness, and also pace egging. One of his final requests before he passed was to have a window in his coffin so he could see out, which this was actually carried out by the joiner and happened. Jimmy passed away aged 45 in 1877 and is buried in Heptonstall. Now in this area there are two long vanished pubs. Next to us here, I think here was the Rose and Crown, which was built in 1830 and demolished in 1930. Now according to the book, only the doorstep of the Rose and Crown remains, but exactly where that is, of course it's had 30 years extra growth perhaps on top of it. Yeah, I think that one was here. And across the road was the old canteen. Now there's no photos exist of this, nor much information other than even after the old canteen a mill was built. That's since been demolished, and what is here today is in replacement of the mill. Yeah. Just have to take my word for it that that was there somewhere. The weather is taking a turn for the worst. I may have to voice over these. This is called Brewery Street, which might suggest where the town was. This is now an antique shop. The next pub we come to is the Railway Hotel. Now we've covered that quite often due to the landlord, James Ellsworth. So again, we have a separate video on the railway, but I'll show you where it is, or was. Once again, we have a theme going here, don't we? So far, none of the pubs exist. In the distance on the hill is Eagle's Crag. So this is the railway, and still with the old sign above the door. So the video to look for if you're interested on James Ellsworth at the Railway Inn is The Crimes of William Moorby. That'll take you to the information as to what happened to James Ellsworth when he met William Moorby. Since we did that video, though, a picture of James Ellsworth has emerged, and he was the landlord at the railway from 1890 until he died in 1902. He was a distinguished cricketer, a very popular landlord, and is buried today in Christchurch Graveyard. So in the shadow of the viaduct, underneath one of these arches, was the Friendly Inn, which was built in the 1840s. I think in this spot that I'm filming now. It became a very busy pub a few years after it opened, when the viaduct started being built. Closed in the 1920s or 30s and was demolished soon after. Behind me is Robin Wood Mill. According to the book as well, there were some clubs in this area that had some very unique names. One of them, under the viaduct again, was called Darkest Egypt, and one across the road somewhere was called the Red Elephant. Exactly where those locations were, I'm not sure. But great names for nightclubs, they need to come back, don't they? So it's definitely interesting to think of houses under the viaduct. Is a pretty amazing structure on its own. So here is where the next pub was, and unsurprisingly it was the Peeping Tom of Coventry. Not much is left here. There is a photo of its existence. Believe it or not, it was the second version of the Peeping Tom of Coventry. The first one is round the corner, which is now the Staff of Life, which we'll see in a minute. So this one was demolished around 1962. It actually closed in 1908. Reportedly, it was not a very successful pub venture, which is possibly why I'm not quite sure how it even got its name. As you'll find out in the next video, it's not the most unique name on the list. See if one or two remains, but obviously this has had 60 years since it was demolished. Yeah, this is all part of the row that housed Peeping Tom. Round the corner we get our first surprise. It's the first pub in how many we've covered now on the last 2 or 3 videos that's still open. So it's now Staff of Life at Eagles Crag, due to the rock formation above it often being described as an eagle. Once again, I've done a video there on a certain witch that's said to haunt the crag. Now the Staff of Life, which is just around the corner, was actually the original Peeping Tom of Coventry before Mr. Crossley, who owned the Peeping Tom, moved it down the premises, and this changed to the Staff of Life. Across the road from the Staff of Life was Bearwise Mill, one of the first mills in the valley, said to have a splendid chimney. I'm not sure quite where it would have been, but I'm guessing here somewhere. Staff of Life is said to have a ghost, but a friendly one. Not open today. So after all those pubs in a row, we're about to enter Cornholme. And if you remember at the beginning of this video, I was saying that Cornholme doesn't have that many pubs. The reason being is because of the temperance movement. And that basically means that if you were somebody who was a drinker, you were committing sin. Drink would be the cause of crimes and violence. So even people who ran the mills, there are a lot of mills in Cornholme, they all followed this temperance movement, which is kind of a church movement as well. There are lots of churches in Cornholme as well. We'll see one soon, or more than one soon, but one specific one we'll look at today. But interestingly, unlike the ones on Burnley Road, what you'll notice when we reach Cornholme is this is probably the area where most pubs still exist today, whether it's a different name or a different setup altogether. So we're just sheltering in a little shed at the minute. The heavens have opened, but we'll head that way and see if we can get all the way through Cornholme to Portsmouth and show you a few of the things on the way as well. So we leave Lydgate behind and head into Cornholme. So the next pub is Freeldhurst Tavern. We've just gone past Freeldhurst Road, but according to the map, it's opposite Vale Baptist Church, or at least that's where it was, because again, it closed in 1959 and has been demolished. But whilst we're here, I'm going to show you something else interesting across the road. So here, this structure, this is a site of a mill, and this isn't something from the outside of the mill, this was inside the mill, and it's the engine beds. Now apparently if you look close enough, you can still see there is black oil on the stones and where the steam engines were bolted into it. Now what the name of the mill was, I'm not too sure, but I put a picture on this on the Todmorden Past and Present site not too long ago. It seemed to bring back a lot of memories for people who enjoyed playing on top of it.
Very short wall.
All right, that could be part of the mill then, couldn't it? Yeah. I'm glad we got the answer as to what this was. Engine beds. Tom found something up in the ruins behind. An old lamp of some description, maybe? My best shirt on. Let's recreate some of your happy memories if you're watching on the Todd Past and Present site. Let's see what's up on top of here. Of course, it's not easy when you're hobbit sized. Okay. Second. How did you guys get up here? Right. Let's show you what's up here. So you can certainly see where things have been fastened onto this. You've got to think, if things are fastened on, they're not going to move from here. Pool of water just here. Yeah. Intriguing. One story from the Fieldhurst Tavern is from the turn of the 20th century. The landlord was Mr. Blackburn. He had a son called Pharaoh, Pharo. Pharaoh was a giant of a man, weighing over 28 stone. And he became known by the locals as Fat Pharaoh. I wonder if he ever walked down into Lydgate and visited Darkest Egypt nightclub. I'd like to think so. So this is Vale Baptist Church, which I think is still in use. And the Fieldhurst Tavern was apparently across the road from here. So this must be where the Fieldhurst Tavern was. And yeah, now it's just daffodils. Now for anyone who ever went to the cinema in Hebden, probably 70s, 80s and 90s, who remembers the advert that played every time at the start? Visit those magnificent men at Gem Discount Centre. Well, we've come to visit today, but we're too late. This is the next church in Cornholme, St Michael's and All Angels. I think this is also closed now. Opposite that is the old schoolhouse, also closed, but now houses. Now, interestingly, I know Cornholme perhaps first before I got to know Todmorden, because when I was doing teacher training, I was sent to Cornholme School and did my teacher training there nearly 20 years ago. So I spent quite a lot of time in Cornholme, which was good. And I think probably it's one of the most places I've filmed more here than anywhere else. There's so much different things to see. But we're just coming up on something. If you remember, I was saying about Cornholme being quite a religious place at the time and people weren't allowed to drink. Well, it seems even in lockdown, they shouldn't be having fun either. Because this is the incredible little library in Cornholme that made headlines, even on the news, because there was apparently pornographic literature put in it. And that's as good as it gets today. And I'll put up the sign that was stuck on the window about taking pornographic books to Hebden. Interestingly, I did get the answer as to what this was about very recently. So they were pornographic books, and there was a reason they were told to take them to Hebden. You can figure it out. So opposite is the remains of Frostholme Mill, which is mostly demolished now, I think. But we have another pub at the side. So this was the Wagon and Horses for many, many years. But it's recently been rebranded and is known as Moor Fillings, established 2021. So to say lots of places closed over lockdown, this one did all right. Okay, the curse strikes again. I'm completely wrong about the Wagon and Horses. It looks like actually the Wagon and Horses is gone, and it's now just the Moor Fillings sandwich shop inside the Wagon and Horses, if that makes sense. So it looks like it did fall victim to lockdown. However, Wagon and Horses was built 1840. It was obviously very exciting times in the 1870s when they had a walking stick competition. But yeah, looks like it's gone now. Behind me, this is Frostholme Mill, which again I remember being open in the last 10 years or so. It is now a bit of a wreck. Last time I looked at this, I went round the back and it was just being boarded up, unfortunately, because recently I think there have been some things being grown inside of around the back from a distance. You can see some fabulous graffiti, so we'll go around and have a look at that from a distance. But a bit similar to the Woodman when I mentioned it in the last video. If you're watching this and you own the keys to here, if you'd be willing to let me in and film it, I'd be very grateful. So just in case we never get a chance to look inside, just do a quick look at the back so you can see the graffiti on the wall. See the graffiti on the wall. So did you work here at Frostholme Mill? Let me know. Right, so that's Frostholme Mill. Let's get back onto our last few pubs as we head into Portsmouth. Next up, opposite the Mount Zion Baptist graveyard and former church, was the Jockey Tavern. So obviously, again, it's now a private residence. Just have a quick look in the grounds of the church. But what we can tell you is in 1930, the landlord of the Jockey Tavern got electricity put in. It was not a man for progress. So apparently, despite having electricity, he didn't use it. He kept on with his gas supply. So the tavern is there, and this is what's left of Mount Zion Chapel. And the Jockey Tavern closed in 1956. So now we enter Portsmouth, which is our last destination for today. Our plan was to head up to the Long Causeway and just to show you the Sportsman Inn, but it's sleeting on us, so We're going to finish off here today, show you the last two places in Portsmouth. So the hills above is one of my favourite woodlands to walk through. I class it as Havoc Woods due to the Havoc bike track that used to be in there. Very difficult to see today in the light we're getting. But we do have a pub, an open pub, and this is the Glen View Inn. So is this actually the first one we've found open today? Wow. Glen View. So our final pub today is across from the former Portsmouth Mill. Used to be a leather factory. Can't even say it. And it's one of the oldest pubs in the area. It's known as the Roebuck Inn. So this was built in 1772. Now the area that we're in here, Portsmouth, was actually named by the son of the first landlord here, Thomas Clegg. Portsmouth was just a part of Cliviger. It wasn't part of Todd until 1875. In 1977, this pub was known as Valley Lodge, but later changed its name back to the Roebuck. This next to it, this greenery next to it, was the bowling green. Obviously it's not anymore. I'm not even sure if the pub is open anymore. Possible. So there we go, closed due to COVID-19. I'm guessing it's not reopened since. In 1982, Portsmouth was hit by a really bad flood, and it absolutely devastated this area. There are some pictures of the road completely missing after the flood. I'll put those up for you to look at. Yeah, it looks like, for now, the Roebuck remains closed. This is interesting. I wonder if this is a former name of the pub, the Rifle. Anybody got any ideas? See the old games inside. So there we are. That's our look at the pubs past and present on Burnley Road, from Todmorden to here in Portsmouth. And unlike the ones on Halifax Road, at least there are two still open in this area. So 2 videos still to go. We have Rochdale Road to cover, and then finally the hilltop pubs like Mankinholes, Lumbutts and Bakeup Road, a few up there, up to Sourhall. I'm not sure if we'll cover them this side of the end of the Easter holidays, but give it a go. So yeah, which of these pubs do you remember? Did you frequent any? Any stories, any tales? Love to know them. In the meantime, Tom and I wish you all the best, and we'll see you very soon.